Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Political Job Interview, where I interview candidates running for election. I'm Vincenzo Calla, the host, and today I take on the role as the boss, giving a job interview today to today's candidate, James Dean. James is running for election for Ottawa City Council as a candidate for Ward 9, Knoxdale-Merivale. Thank you, James, for your time, and thank you for joining me today. So without further ado, let's get this job interview started. As with any good job interview, I'm starting off with an opportunity to learn more about James. So James, can you tell me a little bit about yourself and your story?
Certainly. Well, thank you so much for inviting me on. It's a pleasure to be here and to answer any questions you may have. First off, my name is James Dean. I grew up in this neighborhood. I still live here. I've been here 55 years now, and I know the neighborhood quite well. My family has been in Ottawa for almost 200 years. They even have a street named after them from on my father's mother's side. So my family has a long-standing history of contributing and participating in the community. My grandfather's gotten awards from the Prime Minister. My grandmother's always been involved in the church. Both my parents were involved in political campaigns, as well as very involved in the church. And even recently, my mother was still giving church services to seniors' homes. With this kind of mindset from family, I myself have been volunteering for many years where I live, and just continue to do that. So one thing I like to see is how to improve on my community and how to make the lives of all my neighbors better.
Well, it's important for all political candidates, especially municipal. Municipal is probably the most on the ground sort of thing. You're serving in the city. You're on the ground. You represent a smaller amount of people than, say, if you were to run provincially or federally. It's important that you have those roots in a community for running for a municipal election. So I'm going to go into the second question, which is, why have you decided to run for this position, to run for councillor? And why do you think you are the best candidate for this job?
Well, many years ago, I was reading Time Magazine's 100 Most Influential People. And as I was reading them, I was admiring these people and saying, wow, what fantastic things these people have done. But then the more I thought about it, it's like, these are just average Joes, just that are out doing their job and just took it upon themselves to go that extra mile and to improve their community and the world around them. And at the time, I had a friend whose sister had just a regular government job, but once a year she would have a conference or a seminar in Geneva for equal rights for women in third world countries. Saying, wow, what a fantastic thing this person is doing. And it's so close to home. This is just an average person working an average job, but doing extraordinary things. So then the more I thought about it, I'd say, well, you know, things that I would like to see change in my community. And I would go over the list of things. And it's like, well, you know what? I'm just a guy that if you don't step up, nothing will get done. And it takes brave people to step up and step forward and put themselves on the line and commit to improving the world. So at that time, it's like, well, you know what? What would I do if I had $40 million? I said, well, I would do this, I would do this, I would do this. It's like, well, I don't really have to win $40 million to do a lot of these things. I would have to be part of, all I would have to do is get on the city council and start changing policies and procedures and improve things. And one of the big issues I was thinking about at that time was homelessness and how could you help homeless people. Ends up someone I went to church with actually started a charity event. Actually, he took it even a step further, where he started his own charity to help homeless people, where he didn't even have to run for city council. But anyway, that's way back when I decided to run. I've run a couple of times now. And I'm stepping up again, and hopefully we'll see lots of great changes in the city.
Well, two things on that. One, homelessness is definitely a big issue in our city. Something that has a lot of that a lot of people struggle with and suffer through in our city, and something that does need more focus. As well as you ran last time in this ward, but now things are changed. There is no incumbent now, so I'm sure that will definitely change things for this race for you to sort of the outlook of that, and to it'll be an interesting ward to watch. So we're going to go on to the next part, which is where about the job, where we're going to take a bit of time to talk about the job and what you bring to it. So the first question is, why do you think you are the best fit to get elected for this job out of all of the other candidates who are running for Knoxdale-Merivale?
Well, there's a few qualities that I can bring to the table that other candidates don't. It's my business background and management background, and managing from an executive level. Also being a local real estate agent, I have a unique perspective on the housing affordability right now and the price of homes and what's causing that. So that's a different perspective, but also my past business experience through over the years and managing from an executive level also puts me in a unique perspective over all the other candidates.
All right, and we're going to go on to the next part, which you sort of touched on this, but where this can go into the experience. So what experience do you bring to this job? Maybe build on that, what you sort of said before in the past question.
Sure. Well, when I was a young person, I started off around 25. I started off at Newbridge in the finance department, and that was an interesting. Well, having oh, actually, I didn't mention also that growing up in the neighborhood, I went to St. Gregory's, I went to Frank Ryan, I went to Merivale High School. I took business at Algonquin College, but from there, working at Newbridge in the finance department, quickly I was finding different efficiencies for ways to save money and for the company to make more money. And so I put together a presentation, brought it to the CFO. He loved the idea. He got all his management team on it and got working on it right away. That's just one efficiency that I found. And that's even at 25 years old. I was finding efficiencies in a very established, well-managed company, but there's always ways to find more efficiencies and more procedures. Another thing, being in that position back in the 1990s, companies were really slow to pay their debts often. And I was in the finance department. People were calling every day asking, oh, when are we going to get paid? When are we going to get paid? So I said, well, what can I do to help you out to get you paid earlier? So negotiated with them, found different ways that what the company was willing to do, put together another presentation, brought it to the CFO again. And both parties were happy, the vendors were happy, the company was happy, and the vendors got paid earlier. So from Newbridge, I went over to Cognos. I was working there purchasing and receiving. I was buying all the hardware and software for the company, but I found out a lot of the vendors were the same vendors from Newbridge. And once they found out I was at Cognos, they said, oh, James, can we work the same deal that we did at Newbridge at Cognos so we can get paid quicker? So, oh, certainly. Well, I'll be happy to take that to the upper management at Cognos also. So again, I took these deals to Cognos and to the upper management, and these vendors were happy and the company was happy. And that was some of my first jobs when I was young. Since then, well, I worked at high tech for many years and finance, and I decided to step out of finance for a little while. And I managed a Pizza Hut, and the owner in Ottawa had 11 stores, and many of my friends owned restaurants also. I said, oh, well, this would be a great way to get into learning the science of running a business, and who better to run a business than a franchise? They have it down to a science. Well, even as organized and structured as they are, I still found efficiencies and policies and procedures and efficiencies that I could bring to the job. And every restaurant that I worked at 5 different ones. And every time I went to a different store, I would always have the highest or the best food cost, the best labor, and always great sales, better sales than the store had previous to that. And that's just by good management, watching your lines very close. Like I would look at my sales down to every 15 minutes and look at every single Monday, the sales by the 15 minutes. So I knew exactly what was going to happen, when it was going to happen, but very in tune with the business, hard work and paying attention. And funny story, after 2.5 years, 3 years, I decided, well, I've learned everything I'm going to learn from the restaurant business. Maybe it's time to get back into high tech, but I was just still working just a regular shift, and we had a lineup out the door, and it was extremely busy. And of course, my staff were working like a finely oiled watch, and things were just clicking along. Well, it ends up one of the customers was so impressed that the next day he was at work and he was talking to one of his colleagues about what an amazing manager you saw last night at Pizza Hut on the Bank Street location. And that colleague happened to be one of my past coworkers. And my past coworker said, "Oh, that's James Dean. He knows a lot about high tech and finance and everything else. He's a great guy." So the customer that had left, that was bragging or going on about how wonderful I was running this restaurant, queried me an offer the next day in my mailbox, offering me a job at his company as a software librarian to get back into the high tech job. So that's how I got out of the restaurant business. But again, I was using it almost as a way to get paid to learn. So that's why I was actually doing the job in the first place, to learn how to run a business from the ground up and every little detail about it. So then I got back into high tech from there. Since then, I've run my own business, my own property management business. Anyway, we'll get on to the next question, or I'll keep.
Well, it's definitely an important story, and it's amazing to see how we learn things, and how what's important to pull from those stories is that no matter what we do in life is a learning experience, and it's important to take the most out of everything that you're doing. Part of serving as an elected official is serving the people who elect you. So here are a few questions about how James wants to serve the people. So the first question is, what is something that the people you would like to serve need that you would like to get done if you were to be elected?
So there are many issues that I'm concerned about, but some of my top important issues are, first off, I would like to put a focus on our infrastructure and our roads, and start repairing the roads, fixing those potholes, getting our roads in better shape, and really focusing on safety and efficiency of the road. Second priority, which many people know, LRT isn't being managed as well as it should be managed. So I would like to get in and get the LRT back on track, and step into that and make sure that it's being managed, and that efficiencies are being taken, are being utilized, and that people are actually paying attention to what's going on a day-to-day basis, and having the whole project managed properly. One other issue that's big to me, in 2010, City of Ottawa's debt was only $700 million. And in 12 years, we've gone from $700 million to $3 billion. So we are now spending over $240 million a year just to service that debt. So that's $240 million out the window, that it's never coming back. And this is $240 million when interest rates are really low. So we really need to get a hold of this runaway debt, and get control of that and properly manage that also. Another issue that's important to me is the housing crisis that's going on right now, with prices going through the roof. As a real estate agent, it gives me a very unique perspective into this also. In 2017, we would have around between 6,000 and 8,000 homes available for inventory for people to buy. And for the last 3 years, it's been down as low as 1,000 to 2,500 homes. So we went from 8,000 down to, at best, 2,500 homes. So a very simple law in economics is supply and demand. And when you take away the supply and the demand stays the same, price goes up. So we really need to focus on that. Being a real estate agent, that gives me a unique perspective into the issues anyhow.
For sure. I mean, those are all great things that you brought up. I mean, they're all three issues that citizens of Ottawa are experiencing. Some, such as the housing crisis, is more widespread that a lot of people can relate to. But even something like the LRT, it's facing everybody right now. At this time of this filming, the LRT is down again because of a lightning strike that hit it, and there have been many problems with that a lot of people are finding issue with. So all issues that need to be focused on, and that citizens of Knoxdale-Merivale, citizens of Ottawa need help with. So we're going to go into the second question for the segment, which is, what is one accomplishment that you have achieved that demonstrates why you would be a good elected official if the people choose you?
Well, again, the almost every job that I've had, I've gone in and just doing the job, I see different procedures and policies that could bring new efficiencies. And even right from the very beginning, from doing finance, finding efficiencies in the way that we pay our bills and things like that at Newbridge and at Cognos, I set up new policies and procedures on how to do things that colleagues told me years later they were still using my procedures that I had set up. One of my largest accomplishments for the last 17 years, I've been volunteering at Quality Living Housing Co-op on the, I got voted in on the board of directors, but it is a volunteer position. And when I first got on the board, we had over 10 units empty for over 2 or 3 years. And the place was literally falling apart. We had very little community involvement. Very few people are volunteering and helping out. We have a $1 million a year budget. And from there, since I've been, it took about a couple of years to get things cleaned up a little bit, and hard work from the rest of the board of directors also, but we were all working very hard. Now we have over a 3-year wait to get in. And every year we have capital projects. Examples: roofs, roads, fences, many projects similar to how a city runs, where you have capital projects that you need repairing. We've done this for the last 17 years, debt-free and with a huge reserve to stand by. So just by proper management, hard work, and really focusing on where our money is being spent and prioritizing properly, and actually managing so that we know when assets will come due to be replaced, we have the money in the bank ahead of time. So that's a huge accomplishment, is those 17 years of volunteer work that have made this a wonderful, wonderful community to live in. And it's one of, in my opinion, one of the best neighborhoods in the world to live in right now. So that's what I think is a huge accomplishment.
Well, definitely some parallels there, especially with the parallels with running a city and working on city council and city management, for sure. So that is it. Thank you, James, for joining me today. It was great having you, and I'm sure that the viewers have enjoyed hearing what you have to offer to them. Election day is on October 24th, 2022. And if you liked hearing what James had to say and you live in Ward 9, Knoxdale-Merivale, you have the opportunity to vote for him on election day. Check with your local election officials for more details. To stay updated, make sure to follow me on Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok at BC Productions 25. Check out my website at vincenzocalla.com. Make sure to like, subscribe, and choose to get notifications here on YouTube. The political job interview is a VCalla production. So until the next video, I'm Vincenzo Calla, signing out.